At WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, we go one make touring car racing in the Southern Cross ESports Racecraft Summer Elantra Championship. It's world renowned, not only for the racing that it puts on, but also its inclusion in iRacing and some other simulators that you might have played as a kid, perhaps on the PlayStation. In Monterey, California, Laguna Seca truly is a challenging and imposing track with all of the elevation change to go with it, all of the history, and all of the bothersome neighbors as well. If you're one of them and you're listening, no, I don't think I can say that, but we're delighted to bring you the two races that are coming up in Southern Cross Esports Summer Elantra Championship. David Haynes here with Brady Baldwin and Jay Kennedy on the production. 20-minute race into a 40-minute race. They go qualifying now, Brady.
Yeah, just qualifying right now, David. Thank you for the introduction, and certainly a different layout to where we have been in previous rounds in this car. I believe last round was Bathurst. It was quite a while ago. Can't quite remember, but we've been at some fantastic tracks. I remember we were at Alton Park earlier in the season. Laguna Seca is a bit of a different beast. Personally, not one of my favourite tracks. I do not go well around here whatsoever in any car that I have driven, so certainly be a challenge for all these drivers out here tonight. I believe we've got 18 drivers on the grid. They have just rolled out for qualifying. You can see there on our Google shot right on the California coast.
Did I see Salt Lake City labelled as Charlotte? Is something I don't know?
Probably.
But definitely, this is in California.
Hashtag blame Jay. So yeah, Laguna Seca, 3.6 kilometers, 11 turns, any clockwise direction. Obviously, the Andretti hairpin, very difficult corner to get pulled up, especially on these cold tyres on the TCRs, and obviously famous corkscrew. I cannot imagine how difficult that will be on cold tyres here tonight. And David, I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle street tonight for some drivers, and I think some might excel, so it's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, we're racing Hyundais, and indeed some of them might excel. Most of them will Elantra, though. We'll see how it goes on that front. Qualifying underway right now, and the drivers that we need to keep our eyes on is the drivers at the front of the championship.
Yeah, certainly a lot of the championship contenders here in the server tonight. Daniel Yeaman, obviously a pretty comfortable lead out in front over Lachlan Capel, who's in P2. Back 40 points back to Ewan Baker in P3, and followed closely by Damon Mulqueen there in fourth. Kyle Ridley running out the top five, and three in a row for SLM Motorsports with Matthew Keane and Jux Onepool, 6th and 7th. Ray Oliver, Tom Wilkinson, and Rick Kuznetsov rounding out the top 10. I don't believe Kuznetsov is in the server tonight, so it'll be an opportunity for guys just outside the top 10 to further their position in the championship with only one more race after this one.
Yeah, so it's a lead to protect for Daniel Yeaman and for others like Ewan Baker, Kyle Ridley. They are out here trying to bag big points, and they can't afford to be not in the top three, fair to say. This is the 15 minutes qualifying underway right now. Then we have a 20-minute race one, and then a reverse top 12 for race two, which is 40 minutes and a fuel stop required. You're having a great look there at the Andretti hairpin and the challenging pit exit here at Laguna Seca. It's narrow, it's at the bottom of the big hill, and it's tight. And the pit entry also a bit tight as well here. So there are plenty of challenges to come up in that race two that the drivers hopefully won't need to worry about in race one. Getting some of the first laps of qualifying, as is typical of these TCR cars, they take a couple of laps to bring the tyres in and really give off the maximum performance. But it's Ewan Baker from Kyle Ridley, from Lachlan Capel, from Simon Mazzomo up the top right now. All of them, I expect, still going to find more performance on this track with a surface temperature of 33 Celsius at the moment. Not too hot, not too cold. And there. Never get bored of the corkscrew, I don't think.
No, it's always an entertaining corner. It keeps you on your toes no matter what car you're in, and it's certainly going to be a challenge in these front-wheel drive cars when you go down the corkscrew and you lose your front, and especially when you're front-wheel drive too, it's double-edged sword there. But these guys will certainly be feeling the brunt of all the 11 technical corners on this circuit. Cameron Edwards crossing the line, for his first lap in the 31.941. They'll put him up to P number 5 at the moment.
Time's tumbling quickly. Ewan Baker went and improved a big amount to stay at the top, only 900ths ahead of Kyle Ridley. Jesse McMenamin, one of the drivers without a qualifying time at the moment, in the 47. Some personal bests so far around this lap. We'll definitely see them jump up. But running too wide on the final corner might hurt you. Track limits can be pretty stringently enforced in qualifying in iRacing, so we'll see if that is going to hurt McMenamin, and I think it will. That time doesn't count, so you've only got the top 13 with times at the moment, and a few drivers that are just struggling with the track limits in a couple of places. That final corner, definitely one of them. I guess if you get too hot into the corkscrew as well, and then I often think about this next very quick sharp left-hander here, blind on the way in, and the track immediately drops away, and it's just one line. You got to thread it so close up against that big red sausage curb, and the grass, the dirt, the sand on the exit.
Yeah, I think qualifying's going to be ultra important tonight, as Craig Davison just goes a little bit too deep there into the entry of the corkscrew. Just touching on qualifying will be extremely important, I believe, tonight. I think the passing is going to be pretty minimal. I don't think there's too many pure passing opportunities other than probably turn 2 at the Andretti hairpin, potentially the last corner. I think everyone else is going to be pretty tight single file as Lachlan Capel now goes to the top of a 30.757, just over a 10th clear. And Ewan Baker in P2, Craig Davidson, his first lap on the board is a 33.3, so times are starting to come down. The 42 of Damon Mulqueen, P4 in the championship, unfortunately behind Dale Atkins at the moment, who has not registered a lap. This might have affected Mulqueen's lap. This is lap number 3 for him. Does not count, so he'll be wanting to clear Atkins, which he does, coming in to turn 1 and try and start another flying lap.
He's the championship leader, currently tracking for an improvement on this lap. Just that final corner in the difficult traction zone. I think you've got to keep a tyre on the blue and white stuff. I think all the way out across the green might land you in trouble. We're about to see, because that's 9/10 quicker than his time that's currently on the board, but it does not count. So there is a lot more pace there for Daniel Yeaman if he can just be 10 millimeters to the left on the exit of the final corner. It was so close.
Yeah, very fine margins all around the circuit over. Here's Ewan Baker, currently P2. In behind him is Kyle Ridley, who is currently position number 3. Baker across the line, does not improve his time. Ridley has an off track on... No, sorry, Ridley goes to P2 on the 30.852, so just inside a 10th from Lachlan Capel's time. Capel does not improve that time by. Here comes Jack Swampool coming across the line now. He's best 32.1, and he goes 31.6 up to position number 4, so very impressive lap for the number 101 machine.
And of course, with 2 races inside of the one server tonight, it's an iRacing heat session configured server, which means when the time runs out in the top left, there will be no completing your lap. It will be curtains at that time. So if you're starting a lap and there isn't a little over 90 seconds on the clock, you're not going to get a chance to finish it. It means that there's less time remaining in this qualifying session than you think, less opportunities to improve than you think.
Yeah, not much time remaining, just 6 minutes, so we're just past halfway. Here's Mizomo. He does improve about 0.5 of a second to a 32.2 to jump him up to position number 9. Times are tumbling. As typical with these TCR cars, the tyres will warm up and the times will drop throughout the session. At the moment, the big one for me is probably Damon Mulqueen in the 42, currently down position number 12, probably a little bit off where he usually is. He did enter into the server pretty late, so didn't have any practice coming into this race whatsoever, so I'm sure the 42 will improve. Will Ewan Baker in the 34 improve his lap time? He does not. That time by must have been an off-track. Ridley, does he jump up at all? He doesn't, so a lot of off-tracks in this session, David. I think the key will be trying to just get a clean lap in general.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. Lachlan Capel, where he's crossing the line here, you're looking at about 2 laps to go realistically. Your top 3 super close, and then there's a gap to Swanepoel in 4th, and then it's pretty competitive from 4th all the way down about 13th, 14th, 15th. A little bit of improvement happening through there. I was about to tell you no purple sectors going on, and then Lachlan Capel went and found one in the first sector. Daniel Yeaman's improving so far on this one. Bottom of the corkscrew, we'll see how this is going on. He's 15.5 through this micro sector to be on an improvement, and he drops about a 10th there, while Lachlan Capel is up on his pole time already.
Lachlan Capel just under a 10th of a second clear of Kyle Ridley in P2. Here's Daniel Yeaman, currently position number 8. Can he improve on that 31.9? Looks like he does. It's a 31.0. They'll jump up to position number 4. Still only 3 guys in the 1 minute 30s in this session, with just over, 4 minutes remaining on the clock. Here's Baker, the Kiwi Sim Racing 34. Comes across the final corner. Best time of a 30.871. Goes a 31.0, but he will have time for one more lap.
Lachlan Capel's lap is also just petering out a little bit here, so we'll see if he goes quicker than that 30.757. Oh, no, he doesn't. Oh, he got so close. He had such a great opening half of that lap, and then it fell apart. Maybe he had a little bit of traffic the way around. We saw it's only just over 3 kilometers, this circuit, Laguna Seca, and it used to be shorter.
Oh, there you go. I did not know that. I didn't even know there was another layout for Laguna Seca. You teach me things, David.
Oh, you've learnt so much so far tonight, but here at the Andretti hairpin, the track actually used to run straight on and link up with turn 5. And so the thing looked a lot like the short configuration of Alton Park, if we're honest.
There you go. You learn something new every single day, don't you? The 47 of Jesse McMahon, currently position number 15 and a 33.1. Does not improve that lap. Michael Locke in behind him does not improve either. So here's Daniel Yeaman on a 31.0, currently position number 4. That is not representative time, so this will be his last push lap. I would imagine he's Baker, still in P3, hasn't improved on that 30.8 for about 4 laps now, so hopefully he can put one in. He's got about just over a 10th to find to nab pole position. He does a 777, so he currently goes to position number 2, only 0.02 of a second behind Lachlan Capel. And speaking of, he's coming down the front straight away once again. Will he improve this lap? No, he doesn't. He'll have one more lap in the bag from secure pole position.
Yep, we're approaching that critical point of about 91, 92 seconds left on the clock, and once it crosses that, there'll be no more times able to be completed. Tom Yakovlev here, currently sitting 12th. Is this going to be an improvement? 32 point... not quite. Not quite, and right in behind a teammate. Matthew Keane to the line, no improvements there. Damon's a chance. Damon Mulqueen is a chance, and he just misses out by about a 10th there. Cam Edwards in 8th, going to cross the line, and this is going to be some of the last cars taking their last gasp opportunity. Reese Gardner amongst them, 96 seconds left on the clock. Pole's currently 90.7 seconds, and so that's effectively checkered flag out on the session right now. Daniel Yeaman, either this is an improvement or he is starting no better than 4th, and it is just a little bit of improvement to jump him to 3rd. Pressure's now on Kyle Ridley in the final lap here. Lachlan Capel's done. Ewan Baker's last opportunity.
Yeah, Ewan Baker coming to the start-finish line. Can he find that 200th of a second to jump up pole position? No, he cannot. It's a disallowed lap for Ewan Baker, so we'll be watching now with only 55 seconds left on the clock. Kyle Ridley goes in the pit lane, so he will not be improving. Tyson Hanmar now. Surely that's got to be off track for Hanmar. Yep, he's done. And next to come, around the last corner, Jux Wanpool. Currently on a 31.6 for P7. Can he improve just a little bit to potentially jump Reese Gardner to P6? He does not, so no improvement there either. And just trying to see if anyone's on a lap, potentially Mulqueen here on the final corner now. He's jumped up to P5 on a 31.128. Got to find about 3/10 to get up another position. Will he do it? No, he does not improve a time, and I don't think there is anyone else that's going to make it to the start-finish line. I think session's over.
When we were looking at Reese Gardner, we thought that's probably going to be the last driver to be able to start a flying lap, and here he is, not improving there, but taking the opportunity to practice the pit entry. Good thing he's not in a Honda Civic at the pit entry. Was it Alexander Rossi and the Phoenix? A bit of a drama there a couple of years back. This is what the grid is going to look like for race 1, the 20-minute race that then leads us into the 40-minute race to follow. 2 races tonight. Lachlan Capel's on the pole, so he gets the inside heading down towards the Andretti hairpin, with Ewan Baker on the front row on his outside. Just 0.02 of a second between them. Your whole front 2 rows within 0.1 of a second in qualifying, with Daniel Yeaman and Kyle Ridley on the row behind. Then we get Damon Mulqueen and Reese Gardner. The Southpaw racer is starting out of 6th. Behind them, Jacques Swanepoel and Tyson Hanmer. Top 10 completed by Cameron Edwards and Matthew Keane. We get a flurry of a couple more SLM cars further back here as well, but we've got Simon Mazzomo and Tom Wilkinson then as 11th and 12th. Tom Yaklajevich and Craig Davidson, teammates alongside. Dale Atkins and Jesse McMenamin, 15th and 16th. And then Michael Locker and Greg Levine. Some of the last cars with qualifying times there when I grid for Southern Cross ESports Summer Elantra Championship. Again, another look at the format as we've now reached the point of race 1.
Yeah, not too long to go until we go lights out, but another minute and a half until we go green. Another reminder on the format, like you said, David, a little sprint race to kick us off tonight, 20 minutes, and then we'll go into double the distance. Field stop required and reverse top 12, so we'll have to keep an eye out on that. Who finishes P12 will start on pole position for race number 2. And at the moment, that will be Tom Wilkinson, currently starting P12. So all the championship protagonists, I believe, are all at the front of the field. The top 5 in points are starting the top 5, so it'll be an all-out battle. Baker and Cape will be looking to gain as many points on Daniel Yeaman as they can. Daniel has a pretty sizable gap in the championship, but currently starting from position number 3, so probably not an ideal starting position for him, but I'm sure it's going to be some pretty interesting racing all throughout this one, David.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's that braking zone downhill at the Andretti hairpin that's going to be the first major concern once the drivers get away off the line. It's kind of, I feel like it's a little bit uphill on the grid, at least at the front of the grid it is, where the pole sitter is. You definitely start a little uphill before you crest and then head down towards the Andretti hairpin. Bit of a double apex sort of arrangement there as well. Sometimes you look for the late one. Sometimes in a car like this, you sort of point the nose straight to the apex as you're going in, rotate it, and then square it off for the throttle on the exit. These Elantras have got plenty of grunt in it through all the gears. The track is cooling off just a little bit for us as we run later into the afternoon in session as well. Sunsets over the west coast, the classic of this part of the world. And it might continue to cool off a little bit as we go. It means that the initial race start's a challenge, but for the longer stints, the tyres will give more grip and hang in there. They've started the lights and the countdown for race 1 of 2, Southern Cross ESports, and the pole sitter gets away handily there as well. Despite that uphill, good start from Lachlan Caker on the outside. Ewan Baker had the chance to challenge, but instead, it's championship leader Daniel Yeaman looking to go big, go for the race lead down the inside, 3 wide. First time through the Andretti hairpin, Baker bowls a bit of a wide. Capel's also out there, and Yeaman's gone to the front.
Fantastic move there from Daniel Yeaman, 2 for 1 at turn number 1, so fantastic move there for the 85. He will lead him off into turn number 3 and 4 for the first time for this 20-minute sprint race. Damon Mulqueen's jumped up to position number 4 in front of Kyle Ridley. Reese Gardner still sitting there in P6. No other real big movers, I believe. Tom Wilkinson's jumped up to position number 10, but he's going to be battled by Simon Mazzomo down the inside there into turn number 5, and Mazzomo pulls out of it just at the last minute. He'll slot in just in front of Matthew Keane there in the number 38. So all orderly at the moment, but lap one on the corkscrews. It's certainly going to be interesting here for the guys sitting behind Daniel Yeaman, who has the clean air. Ewan Baker a little bit late under brakes, gets it pulled up though. And it's all orderly throughout the corkscrews for the first time, David.
Yeah, California's got some great wines, but they've got an even better corkscrew. Everyone gets through it with no worries whatsoever. And Daniel Yeaman, what an opening lap he's had to this point. That little bit of an uphill off the start. First and second not getting away great, and he shot straight to the inside, managed to pull it up, turn it, and get out the other side with the race lead. And this is a short one, just 20 minutes in race one here as well. There's a bit of a checkup, a little bit going on around Tom Wilkinson, Cam Edwards back here. We're three wide over at the start finish line. Tom Wilkinson looks best placed, but there is a lot happening in his mirrors.
Mazzomo's going to take the Dean Yeaman line right on the inside. Wilkinson squeezes him just a little. The inside line prevails what's getting his contact with Keane and Tom Wilkinson. They all keep it going, more bumping in the back there between Edwards and Tyson Handmar side by side in through turn number 3. So some fantastic battling through the back half of the top 10 here. This is from position number 8 all the way through to position number 12, even 13th as well, right in this battle. So a fantastic 6-way fight here just outside. Oh, there's a big spin in the background from Cameron Edwards, and he collects Matthew Keane as well. That was a massive contact there. I'm pretty sure it was from TJ in the background, got in the back of Cameron Edwards, apologies, and massive damage for the car 9.
Oh, hello. Have a look at this. Working their way through the corkscrew, you're leading 3, then a little bit of a space to Kyle Ridley, Damon Mulqueen, Reese Gardner, and Jacques Swanepoel. Then it all kicked off behind 8th place as that next group of cars come through, and Michael Locker, Matthew Keane, and Cam Edwards are the drivers who've all lost out big. And a bit of shade comes across the circuit here as well. It's Lachlan Capel and Ewan Baker are right in behind the race leader, but a short little bull ring of a track. No really long straights where the slipstream can kick in, and of course, overtaking down into the hairpin or at the corkscrew, difficult things to do.
Yeah, it's definitely not the easiest track to get around. I'd like to queue up a replay if we can of that crash with Cameron Edwards and TJ if we can. Producer Jay, just to have a quick look at it. There was a lot going on in that battle just inside the top 10 all the way through to about position 12 and 13. This is a shot from the grandstands initially. I believe it was Handmar in the Vermilion machine got into the back of Edwards, so apologies. It wasn't TJ that got into him, it was Handmar in the Vermilion 92. Just got in the back of Edwards there and unfortunately sent him into a uncontrollable spin, and unfortunately just collected Matthew Keane as well. So looks like Edwards has taken that fast repair and will rejoin the field, but back out in front still Yeaman, Capel and Baker. And Kyle Ridley's actually gone past Damon Mulqueen in position number 4 as well.
So Baker's got the fastest lap of the race at the moment, but there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers who don't have a best lap of the race yet because they've been off track on every lap to this point. So track limits around Laguna Seca, definitely a challenge when you're pushing on. We saw that in qualifying. We're seeing that now in the race. Yeaman out to half a second ahead of Lachlan Capel, who doesn't seem to quite be able to stick with him at this point. And seeing that Baker has a good bit of speed, maybe putting a little bit more pressure on there. Drive through for the 92 after turning Cam Edwards by all accounts.
Yeah, that definitely would have been for the contact with Cameron Edwards there on lap number 2, as caught in by race controller Dean Hunt. So the 92 will have to serve that drive through, and he'll be right down the back of the field, probably not as far as where Cameron Edwards is, but he'll certainly be a little bit further down and probably, unfortunately, outside that top 12, so it's going to be a bit of a tough night for the 92, but it looks like Baker's got a little bit of pace here on Lachlan Capel. He's big move down the inside from Ewan Baker, a bit of door rubbing on the exit, trying to push him wide. Baker will have the inside now for turn number 6, but he won't have enough overlap. Capel won't give it up. They're going to go too wide through turn number 6 onto the Ray Hole straight. Now, you don't want to be going too wide into the corkscrew. This is inviting Cole Ridley right into the battle as well. Capel, massive under the brakes. Won't get it pulled up. They're still side by side, and Baker's going to eventually get the move done.
Capel's got to slow down here as well. He's going to lose a couple of positions. He got in so hot, shortcutted the next part of the lap. So Baker goes through in a second. Ridley up in a third, and Has he managed to clear that yet? Capel still hasn't. He's got cars queued up behind him, and he's got to give up a slowdown to the inside. Reese Gardner thinks about it, but Capel's gotten rid of it now, and he's able to position himself middle of the road to hold off Mulqueen. And Mulqueen switches back to get the inside on the pit straight. Good drive off of that corner. Gives a little bit of a hello to Lachlan Capel there, and we'll have the inside, which has always looked like the best place to be at the hairpin.
And Capel very defensive down into turn number 2 there at the Andretti hairpin. They're still going to be side by side. I think Capel might have enough here. Stick his nose back underneath at turn 3, and he does. Very smart driving, actually, from Lachlan Capel when he had that slowdown. But now Mulqueen's going to have the inside for turn number 4. I didn't think Laguna Seca could produce such good racing, Dave. This is absolutely awesome.
He's doing it. They're side by side for a couple more corners here. Now it's Capel with the inside. Really clever switchback from Mulqueen earlier, but he can't do it now. He's got Reese Gardner underneath him as well. That restricts what Mulqueen can do. And Capel should be able to hold on to this one from here, but they've lost a lot of time to Kyle Ridley, to Ewan Baker, and to the race leader, Dan Yeaman.
Yeah, Yeaman's now checked out 1.2 seconds now over Baker, who's now got some quite clean air in front of Kyle Ridley. And now it's a battle for position number 4 between Capel, Mulqueen, and Reese Gardner. I think
now Gardner's cut it. Now he's got to slow down.
So luckily for Gardner, he's got about a second half back to Jacques Swanpool, so he shouldn't lose any positions. But unfortunately, he'll drop off the back of Damon Mulqueen. I think Reese has now served that slowdown, so he will stay in position number 6 for now, but he's going to be under pressure here from Jacques Swanpool on the 101.
And it's an example of just how easily done it is. You know, the quickest line, you kick up just a little bit of that dust, but you get all 4 tyres off and through the dust, no tyres on the curb, and that's considered cutting the course, and certainly really, really hurts you. Ewan Baker's apparently finding a little bit of speed now to get back within 1 second of race leader Dan Yeaman, and there are lots of just little spot fires all through the field now for the lead, between Lachlan Capel and Damon Mulqueen, between Reese Gardner now having a hold of Jacques Swanepoel, so between Yakovlevich and Craig Davidson. And how about Dale Atkins and Jesse McMenamin for 12th position that we know at the end of this race is going to be so important?
Yeah, the all-important 12th position. Whoever gets that 12th position will start on pole for race number 2. So this is one we're going to have to try and keep an eye out on in the remaining 11.5 minutes in this race. Not much between, just 0.6 of a second between the 96 and the 47. So there'll be one to watch out for. It's pretty much just between them at the moment. Matthew Keane a little bit too far back in the background to challenge just as of yet. So one we'll have to keep an eye out on throughout the rest of the race. And still back out to position number 4 and 5. Mulqueen has not let go of Lachlan Capel at all. He's keeping that gap about half a second at the moment. And Mulqueen's trying to push hard, trying to get onto the back again of the 18. And unfortunately, with Reese Gardner slowed down, he's got no real pressure from behind now, so he can focus ahead and try and get that position number 4.
A good couple of laps here from Baker as well, as he goes even quicker, resetting the fastest lap of the race to within half a second of Daniel Yeaman, approaching the halfway point of race 1 of 2. This is the 20-minute, call it a sprint, with a 40-minute, call it a feature, coming up afterwards as well, which is going to have a little bit more strategy. But here it's just a straight 20-minute fight in the Hyundai Elantra touring cars at Laguna, Seca, and Baker. What has he found here as the track continues to cool, now down to 30 degrees Celsius compared to it was almost 35 during qualifying?
Yeah, it's certainly cooled down just a little bit. We're 2:45 in the afternoon here in sunny California. Not too many clouds out in the sky today. And look at that gap Ewan Baker is closing. That last lap for Ewan Baker was a 30.5. Last lap for Daniel Yeaman a 31.0. So massive gains for Ewan Baker on that last lap, and a little bit of slipstream effect as well on the front straight would certainly be helping. I would not be surprised to see that 34 car go to the lead in a few laps' time.
The pressure's certainly starting to get there, from more than 1 second down to just 0.4 here. And Baker, 2 laps in a row showing immense speed, holds the fastest lap of the race by about 0.4 at the moment, and he's within that car length there, and he looks so good on the brakes. And that's where I would want to be strong if I was hoping to make a pass here, because, okay, good traction out of the corners, all right, rolling decent speed through the middle of the corner is good, but if you can't outbrake the other guy, I just don't think you're making a pass here.
No, I think you're absolutely right, David. Especially to turn 1, turn 11, we've seen the predominant passing spots. Even turn 5 as well. They'll be really good on the brakes, and that's where the 34 looks to be really strong at the moment. So Yeaman might be wary of that and might have to outbrake himself just a little bit just to try and hold off the 34, because it looks like through the medium speed corners they're pretty well matched. It's just under brakes. The 34 is so strong. We'll see it coming into turn 5 here. He closed about half a car length to a car length most heavy braking zones, Ewan Baker. So we'll have to keep an eye out on this battle with only 8.5 minutes left in the session. Yeaman will have to get the skates on and try and pull away.
Baker's also just looking super precise. We've had 12th position swap back and forth a little bit here. Dale Atkins and Jesse McMenamin. So McMenamin gets a good run out of the final corner. Gets his nose to 12th potentially, but Dale Atkins at the moment has gotten it back. So we'll see what happens down at the hairpin here. Looking good so far from McMenamin in black and purple down the inside. Does he get in a little bit hot? Perhaps just a tiny bit, and Dale Atkins is still right there. This pressure on for 12th position, which will end up being pole when we go into race number 2 and take that top 12 invert. Where does McMenamin lose this? Because now McMenamin's back with Dale Atkins.
I was just watching them live, David, and Dale Atkins just had a massive moment in the corkscrew, and McMenamin has now got that position back. But we'll stay on the replay to see what has happened. It must have been off turn number 6 here, I could imagine. I'm assuming, because I just watched the corkscrew and McMenamin was behind. Does he go wide? No. Very interesting. It might be a lap after that I was watching. Yeah. I'm not too sure, but
right they're side by side right now with Dale Atkins down the inside. So these two have traded it back and forth for now the 3rd or 4th time. Matthew Keane has gotten close, and his last lap 2 seconds quicker than Dale Atkins. So now a 3-way fight for that 12th place, 3/10 for the race lead. It's on everywhere at the moment in this sprint race.
Yeah, I was nearly doubting Matthew Keane before. He was about 4 or 5 seconds back from this battle, but with these two, the 47 and the 96 battling in front, this has brought Matthew Keane right into this battle. So we have a real 3-way fight for this 12th position, which is very, very important by race end. And still up in front, Ewan Baker's now closed even more on Daniel Yeaman. The last time by, they were pretty much even on lap time, but Baker's going to go for a big bomb.
Last
move. Turn number 11.
Last corner, big move, leaves a respectful amount of space. Daniel Yeaman's got his nose just in front at the moment, but Ewan Baker's to the inside when we get to that critical braking zone. Down at the hairpin. Can Yeaman come across and close this? He wants to, but he can't, and he gets contact, and he's sent into the wall. The front's off, and he hits Baker on the rebound. First and second come together. Massive damage for the both of them. With 6 minutes to go in this race, Kyle Ridley to the race lead. Lachlan Capel to second. Big drama up front.
Yeah, massive drama. There's a blown engine there for Daniel Yeaman. It looks like the left front suspension's ripped out on the 34, so they're both done. Here's the Racecraft replay from my... I don't know.
Tell me if Baker is anywhere but up against that white line on the inside of the circuit.
I think we need
to tell me if he moves away off it, because I don't think he does.
I think we need to get a review shot to potentially where the cars are projecting, because it's sort of hard to tell from the front-on view there. I think we might need to try and get a different view potentially if we can, but there's so much going on now. Like you touched on, Cole Ridley now to position number 1, quite comfortably over Lachlan Capel and Mulqueen into 3rd. And both for Yeaman and Baker, they're going to be right down the back of the field. Yeaman's trying to get back to the pits with that blown engine so he can try and at least get back out. Ewan Baker, he wasn't going anywhere, so he is asked for permission to tow, which was granted. He's back in the pits. Yeaman still trying to get back to the pits under his own power, but that car is struggling to get back to the pits.
You can tell it's Hyundai's because Kyle Ridley has stolen this one. He now leads by 1.5 seconds from Lachlan Capel, from Damon Mulqueen. Reese Gardner up into 4th. Watching Simon Mazzomo and Jacques Swanepoel battle over 5th and 6th. And this will have implications on who's 12th position as well, as we have another look at it. Again, it's Yeaman with better drive. Baker trying to hold the inside here, and Baker, I've already said what I think, and I stand by it.
It's a tough one, David. It's a tough one. I think potentially just both of them going for the same bit of real estate. Yeah, it's hard to comment on that one. I think you have to look at it.
Both of them were going for the same bit of real estate, only one of them already had squatters' rights on it.
That is also true. But luckily, our job's to call the race and not make the decisions in race control. So we'll leave it to them and we'll see what happens with only just over 3.5 minutes remaining in this one. Cole Ridley has taken the lead, 1.2 seconds back to Lachlan Cable. So first and third in the championship are in the pits and done for this race. This will be very important to Lachlan Capel, who's running in second in the championship and now second in this race. This will be a big point gain towards his championship hopes with Daniel Yeaman.
Dale Atkins and Jesse McManaman are now 11th and 12th. So seeing Ewan Baker and Daniel Yeaman drop down to put more drivers in towards that top 12. And of course, it's big for Baker and Yeaman, who will now start race 2 right up the back, despite there being a bit of strategy and also some fuel stops, all of that to play out. Mazomo and Swanepoel once again. Another lap just completed. Mazomo a 10th quicker on that one. So Swanepoel a tiny bit further back than he was this time a lap ago. And they'll only have to face 2 more in this first race, or they then set their sights on the reverse grid feature race. Behind them, 10th, 11th and 12th. It's all inside of the top 12 now, so it's not quite for as many sheep stations as it was. We've seen plenty of great racing at this point between Atkins and McManaman, trading that spot back and forth a few times. Matthew Keen's picked both of their pockets, but not been able to get too far down the road from them.
Also the biggest mover in this race so far is Craig Davidson at the moment. He is +6. So is Simon Mazomo. He'll officially get the hard charger for this race. Tom Wilkinson +5. TJ is +4 and so is Dale Atkins. So surprisingly a bit more overtaken than what I would have expected in tonight. We've actually had some quality racing in the TCRs here tonight on screen. I believe that is Tom Wilkinson and Craig Davidson battling for position number 7. Davidson looking for another move in this race, looking to go +7. I believe we won't get the white flag this time by, so we've got 2 laps to go, I believe, David.
Oh yeah, pretty close, a little touch and go. Looks like Kyle Ridley might have gotten around in enough time to not take the white flag just yet. We'll stay on board with these and we'll have an idea what Barney's doing, what he's got in his hands. No white flag yet. So it was touch and go by just a couple seconds there. I think you needed to be underneath 90 seconds on the clock when the leader got there, and it was about 92, 93. So we send them round for a couple more.
Yeah, so about a lap and a half remaining for the leader, Kyle Ridley. Still Wilkinson and Davidson battling really hard there for position number 7. They're a bit of a ways off Juck Swanepoel and P number 6, and they're pretty safe to TJ in the background there. And looks like Kyle Ridley's actually lost a little bit of time that last time by to Lachlan Capel for 0.3 of a second. So the gap for the lead's just under a second at the moment. So if Lachlan Capel can gain a few more tenths in the last half of this second last lap, he might have something on the last lap, but I think it's a little bit too far away to get anything done.
Still eyes on Tom Wilkinson and Craig Davidson up the hill to the braking zone of the corkscrew. And Wilkinson appears to have somewhat stabilised. Vanishingly few seconds left on the clock as Kyle Ridley will come around and take the white flag. If he was 3 seconds slower, this would have been a 1 lap shorter race, but it's 1 more lap that he's got to hold on from Lachlan Capel behind. Damon Mulqueen to hold on to a podium. And Reece Gardner in 4th. Not seeing much chance of anything changing inside of the top 12. Unless Tyson Hanmer, do you know what? He's charging back. He could get to 12th on this final lap, Tyson Hanmer. He's got McManaman and Atkins battling in front of him. He's recovering after the drive-through that he got assigned. So he's further down in the field with more speed than 13th place would say, with 3.6 kilometres more of racing to go.
Yeah, I wouldn't discount him whatsoever with 1 lap to go. He's
almost in his ear telling him it's Hanmer time.
It's Hanmer. I love that, David. I absolutely love it. That last time by was 6 tenths quicker than Dale Atkins and 8 tenths quicker than Jesse McMenamin. So certainly within a shout to get that position number 12. We're on board with Jack Swampel on the 101. He's sitting right behind Simon Mazzoma as he goes beach surfing in his TCR on the outside there of turn number 6 onto the rail straight. But out in front, still Kyle Ridley in the 27. Looks like he's just going to hang on to this win. Lachlan Capel throwing everything at him in the last lap or so. But it'll be Kyle Ridley up.
Closed, but not enough. And so with the checkered flag finally out, Kyle Ridley will take the race win. Lachlan Capel doesn't look all too disappointed with that, knowing where his rivals are. And then Mulqueen in third, Reese Gardner in fourth. There's Ewan Baker a lap down, not where he'd want to be, outside of the top 12. Teammates battling Yaklievich and Davidson for 8th and 9th. Hanma, here he is. Oh, he's giving it all. Is he giving it too much? Does he sense he can have a dive at Dale Atkins in the final corner? Just a good run through that right-hander, and you've got one opportunity left, and he's not close enough. He needed one more car length, and he couldn't get it. Looks like Hanma's going to stay 13th behind Dale Atkins, with McMenamin off the hook, and Matthew Keane finished 10th. But your big story is Ewan Baker, 16th, Daniel Yeaman, 17th.
Yeah, big stories to come out of the race. Two of the fastest cars in the race finished a lap down and right down the back, so they got a lot of work to do for race number 2. Kyle Ridley, though, will be chuffed with that win. I could be wrong, but it could be his first win of the season for the 27. So congratulations to him. Lachlan Capel and Damon Mulqueen will round out the podium. Reese Gardner, position number 4. Simon Mazzomo. So 2 SimSpeed guys inside the top 5. Jux Onepool in 6th. Tom Wilkinson 7th. TJ in position number 8. Craig Davidson 9th. Matthew Keane rounding out the top 10. The 47 of Jesse McMenamin will finish position number 11. Dale Atkins will finish that all-important position number 12. Tyson Hamar, Michael Locke, Cameron Edwards round out the finishes on the lead lap. And then you had Ewan Baker, Daniel Yeaman in that spectacular crash, finished 1 lap down. And I believe Greg Levine dropped out just before the start of that race, but I believe he is back. So he will be there for race number 2. We'll have 18 cars and we'll do it all over again, but for 40 minutes.
So what a great championship it's been to this point in the Southern Cross ESports Racecraft Summer Elantra Cup. And hey, here's another special deal. If you use the code Elantra when you shop at sudspeed.com, you can get 10% off, including free shipping. So check out all the sim racing wares that they've got, and you can use the code Elantra for a nice little discount. We've got another big race coming up here from Laguna Seca on SimSpeed TV. In just a few moments' time, we'll be back with the 40-minute compulsory pit stop feature race of the Elantra Cup.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back. Just minutes away from the final race of the night in Racecraft Summer Elantra Championship from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. This championship brought to you by Southern Cross ESports and then supported by Racekraft Simulations and Sudspeed. Delighted to bring you all the coverage here on SimSpeed TV. Myself, David Haynes, with Brady Baldwin and Jay Kennedy with the angles and the replays. We had, well, one of those race-defining moments for the lead in that sprint race, number one just now, Brady, and it set such an interesting field for this 40-minute fuel stop required reverse top 12 race number 2.
Yeah, it certainly does, and we certainly got to keep an eye out. The guys starting 16th and 17th, Ewan Baker and Daniel Yeaman. Didn't think I'd be saying that at the start of the night, so certainly be very interesting. Obviously, Cole Ridley, race number 1 winner, will start from position number 12. So there'll be a few guys to watch out for coming through the field. Obviously, a pit stop required in this one as well. So we might see some alternating strategies. Some guys pitting a little bit sooner, some guys pitting a little bit later. But we will go to the grid quickly and go through our starting grid. Dale Atkins and Jesse McMenamin will start on the front row of the grid for this one. Matthew Keane and Craig Davidson, they will share row number 2. The two Toms, TJ and Tom Wilkinson, will share row number 3. Then we'll go back to Jack Swampwell and Simon Mazzomo, starting 7th and 8th. Running out the top 10 for this one will be Reese Gardner and Damon Mulqueen. Then back to the top 2 from race number 1, Lachlan Capel and Cole Ridley. Then back to Tyson Hemar, who had a drive-through penalty in race number 1. Fall back to 13th. He'll be starting beside Michael Locke. Cameron Edwards, who unfortunately got in an accident in race number 1, he will start position number 15 beside Ewan Baker, starting from 16th. And then we'll have Daniel Yeaman and Greg Levine sharing the final row of the grid. And David, I think this will be a very interesting race. Varied pace up the front. Got Dale Atkins and Jesse McMenamin off the front row. We'll have to keep an eye on those guys that finish up the front in race 1. Obviously, Ridley, Capel, Mulqueen, Gardner and co. Then obviously watch out for Baker and Yeaman coming right from the back of the field.
Yeah, I think I've heard of Gardner and co. They do my lawns and hedges. So we've got 90 seconds to the race start, and have a look at this weather. Now 5 p.m. Maybe a bit of a breeze coming in off the ocean. That'd be a salty spray. It's down to 25 Celsius, 25.6. So the graphic rounds it up to 26, but 25.6 on the track. Much cooler. Warm-up will be a tiny bit slower, but across this 40-minute race, you'll probably see drivers going fuel drop only at their compulsory stop. Not really looking like you're going to need new tyres or that you'd get any advantage out of that. It'd just be a couple laps of pain bringing in a new set for no serious lasting advantage. We'll keep an eye on that when it happens. 1 minute board at the starter's stand, and there are just a couple of cars we're waiting on seeing. Matt Keane in 3rd, Jacques Swanepoel 7th, Simon Mazzomo 8th. The ones we haven't got yet. We've got the ones at the back, just waiting on if we're going to get Matthew Keane out of 3rd place. He's still got 30 seconds to get to the grid behind Dale Atkins and Jesse McMenamin. My goodness, this opening lap for drivers to keep your eyes on are going to be Ewan Baker and Daniel Yeaman, though, from 16th and 17th. The two drivers who clearly were the pace of the field in race number 1 came together on the way towards the Andretti Straight, taking them both out of the race, and they start deep in the field. There's Matthew Keane. We've got the whole grid. We're 5 seconds away, 40 minutes on the clock. Crews ready in pit lane for when that window opens. Engines begin to rev. Your first 2 cars have got a pretty sharp uphill. Didn't get away well in race number 1. In race number 2, as the green flag waves, great start initially from the outside there before Dale Atkins eventually gets away well, and a big run from Tom Wilkinson. Outside tyres in the grass. Looks like Mazzomo following him. 4 wide. Mazzomo's on the outside. He gets trapped in the Newton's cradle. Now swoops around the outside, and it looks like Ewan Baker also using a huge amount of pavement around the outside, starting to run out of space. He's boxed in there. Dale Atkins leads. Tom Wilkinson goes for the inside, but we've got cars around. We've got bulk cars around.
And that's Jesse McMenamin involved. So is Reese Gardner, unfortunately. Looks like Michael Lachlan Capel spun around as well. So there's Craig Davidson. There's 4 cars involved there. Well, 4 wide going into turn number 2, David, and that was never, ever going to work out. So we'll try and keep up a replay once everything settles down a little bit. But it looks like Daniel Yeaman had an absolutely mega start. Looks like he's up to about position number 6 or 7 already. He's plus 11 from starting 17th. So my math's correct. That's up to position number 6. So fantastic start for Daniel Yeaman. Stayed out of all the chaos there on lap number 1. As we go 2 wide into the corkscrew on lap number 1, Dale Atkins and TJ side by side into there. TJ will get the spot there, but Daniel Yeaman right on the rear bumper there of Dale Atkins. It's absolutely chaos on lap number 1.
So Dale Atkins getting swamped so far, but a great lap to be a drop bear by all accounts. Tom Wilkinson to the lead of the race. Daniel Yeaman, big mover, and about to go one more as he's now to the inside. And up another one, plus 12 positions gained into the top 5 for Daniel Yeaman. Ewan Baker, 9th, so not quite as much good work done in the first lap, but still plenty of time to go inside this race. And he seemed to come on strong later on in race 1. The first 5 minutes weren't quite as strong for him. More moves being put on Dale Atkins through the Andretti hairpin, as McMenamin and Davidson are in the lane at the end of the first lap from the damage that they sustained.
Yeah, unfortunately, guys already in the pit lane's never a good sign, but they do have big damage. There's a lot to unpack here. So watch McMenamin, or was there netcode contact there? Was that Swanpool, I believe? Into Davidson, potentially. And then there's Edwards getting into Capel right at the end of the crash. So much to unpack there, but I believe the initial contact might have been from Swampel and into, trying to pick up the name, McMenamin, apologies. But I believe it was netcode contact just from the far view, but it'll be hard to tell. Race Control will be having a look at that for sure, as Dale Atkins runs wide, loses 2 positions to Hanmar and Tyson Edwards, but can't believe the start for Daniel Yeaman, already up to position number 5 from position number 17. Ewan Baker, he's climbed up to position number 8. So both the guys from the rear making big moves early on. Daniel Yeaman, by race's end, could be on for a race win potentially if he keeps his pace up.
He's having a look around the outside of the final corner on Tom Yakleyevich, who seems to be the roadblock for his progress at the moment. It was hot knife through butter until he got to 4th place. Low sun as the first real flying lap comes in. And you see the fastest lap of the race. Chop and change around till it lands on Ewan Baker. His first drive with a bit of clean space in front of him. Now he's caught up behind Ridley, Mulqueen, Daniel Yeaman, who had a bit of a moment there. A bit of a slide through the hairpin. Now a car length further back off Yakleyevich. You see the gap up the road, though, to Mazomo, Keane, and others. And, oh, hello. Gets out of the way. Has he got a slowdown? Has he got a problem?
Does.
Do you have to slow down and not give it up? It can be tough to give up a slowdown early on in these races because it doesn't have a really good idea of what race pace is to know if you're giving anything up. And so it errs on the side of you got to give up like 10, 20 seconds. Here is the massive sort of 3 wide, 4 wide car park at the hairpin on the first lap. And what happened in regards to the C's opening for Daniel Yeaman?
Yeah, on board. Look at that, just very good evasive action there for Yeaman on lap number 1. Got through all the chaos, and if we can try and pick up a replay if we can, there was contact between Cole Ridley and Ewan Baker through turn number 6 on this lap, on lap number 3. This is back on the Racecraft replay. Ridley down the inside. Looks like they're side by side. Ridley is far up enough. Looks like it just runs a little bit wide, still on cold tyres. Runs Baker off the road. Baker has called it into race control, so we'll have to see what happens with that. Might just be a potential redress from Ridley, but we'll have to see what comes of that, David.
We will. Baker gets one of those spots back as he now has to pass Tyson Hanmer once again, and he does. So now behind Jacques Swanepoel and then Tom Yakleyevich. Here's Lachlan Capel trying to come back through the field. $39 and $85, no further action. So that's Yeaman and Yakleyevich. There's a contact between them in the hairpin a couple of laps ago. So Yeaman's up to third, and a mechanical black flag at the moment out for Lachlan Capel, who I think is trying to stay out there until he sees his pit window open if he can, but I'm not sure if that's going to work.
Yeah, I believe still with the maple flag. I could be wrong, but if you run too long with it, you will get disqualified from it. As Jux Wampool trying to hold off Baker, and there's more contact on the exit of the corkscrew. Unbelievable, and there's more contact.
Both of them in that massive drift, doing the front-wheel drive touring car thing. If in doubt, flat out, give it WFO, and quite a few cars heading for pit entry. Ewan Baker looking like one of them. Tough old little pit entry. Is this one of the cars you can rip the handbrake in? You'd be almost tempted at that hairpin at pit entry. So Baker, Hanma, Lachlan Capel in. Who would you imagine? Yeah, he might have just given himself those couple of laps if he could to stay out.
Daniel Yeaman as well, David, up to position number 3 now in this race, trying to chase down his one of them is his teammates, and one of them is one of his admins in his AOG series, Simon Mazzomo. So 3 good friends out in front, so it'll be interesting to see how they race each other for the rest of this race. This is a very interesting piece. So Swampool looks like just gets a massive push there into turn number 9 at the rainy curve and gets right into Ewan Baker, and I think Ewan Baker was seeing red at that point, just decided to jump into the pits.
I wonder if you know how they live in Tokyo. That little moment from that angle, my, the contact, but able to mostly save it, even if it involves putting a lot of heat into the front tyres. His first, second, and third. That's way off the track for Mazzomo, and into second place will go Daniel Yeaman.
We just got a penalty through as well, David. A 5-second post-race penalty for Kyle Ridley for that contact we've seen with Ewan Baker at turn 6 on lap 3. So Kyle Ridley, 5 seconds post-race penalty for him. So he'll have to get the foot down and try and get as far up as he can, because he will have that penalty late in the race. So he'll be praying for no safety car in this race.
And a couple more drivers go to pit lane. Tom Yakovlevich and Reese Gardner are in now. So we've had quite a few cars through, but not this group here. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. Mazzomo, the pressure's suddenly on him after he had that little mistake. Damon Mulqueen now really closing in. Kyle Ridley has the fastest lap of the race at the moment with that 30.8, and he just set that. So he's starting to hit his rhythm as well. And for the reasons you pointed out, he really does need to be in his zone from here until the end to get a good result.
Yeah, he certainly does. A lot of battling going on. Still, Ewan Baker racing there with Tyson Hanmar for position number 11 on the road. Has Ewan Baker has pitted, hasn't he? So
yes.
Yeah, okay. So I have a memory of a goldfish. I honestly couldn't remember. So Baker is the effective leader of the guys that have pitted so far. This is the move going into turn number 2 of the Andretti hairpin, puts the car down the inside, and Tyson Hanmar's actually off the road at the moment on my live screen, and Baker quite easily does the job there into the Andretti hairpin, move up to position number 11. Hanmar has went off the road, and he'll be under pressure from Lachlan Capel pretty shortly, and Reese Gardner as well. Unfortunately, he was caught up in the lap 1 incident. He has also come out of the pits, not too far behind Capel.
Little ambitious on the braking, and then lost the rear in the end of that one having been passed. Kyle Ridley's in the lane at the moment, still with the fastest lap of the race attributable to his name. Where he comes out relative to Ewan Baker will be very instructive as to if the early stop is paying off for Ewan Baker.
Baker come around the final corner now. I believe Ridley will be safe. I assume these guys will not be taking tyres, because that's probably not a good decision, but looks like Ridley's pretty safe. But we've got to remember, he does have a 5-second penalty post-race, and with the pace we've seen from Baker tonight, probably will believe it will be pretty close by the end of the race, as Baker does set the fast lap of the race that time by.
And Ridley was 5th when he pitted, so I suspect that puts Ewan Baker sort of net 6th at the moment, ahead of sort of Swanepoel and Cameron Edwards when they come to pit, but potentially behind this battle, Simon Mazzomo and Damon Mulqueen, who were ahead of Kyle Ridley before Ridley pitted. Ridley pitted and is still ahead of Ewan Baker. So if they trip over each other here, if they do some of that side-by-side action that we saw before in race 1, it can still pay off that early stop for Ewan Baker and Kyle Ridley.
Yeah, 100%. It'll be very interesting to see how it plays out between someone like Ewan Baker, who has pitted pretty early on in the piece, and Kyle Ridley, comparison to guys like Tom Wilkinson, Yeaman, Mizomo, Mole Queen, who are pretty far up the road from the next guy, Jack Swampel, in position number 5. So it'll be interesting to see how those 4 play out as Mole Queen all over the back of Simon Mizomo. This is position number 3 on the road. Mulqueen 2/10 quicker that last time by. A TCR specialist in his own right, Damon Mulqueen. He's handing all over the back of the number 2 of Simon Mizono. This is very important. If Mulqueen can get the move done and try and close up the gap to Daniel Yeaman, could make a very interesting end of the race. Mulqueen goes a little bit deep under brakes and loses about 2 car lengths there to Simon Mizono.
Having a look at Lachlan Capel here with the reverse entry to the right-hander. Oh, he's way, way off the track in his pursuit of wherever it was that he was. He's now under pressure from Reese Gardner.
Still going on for position number 3 between Mulqueen and Mizono. And we see Yeaman right on the back of his teammate now, Tom Wilkinson, for the race lead. Just under 28 minutes remaining in this race. Be interested to see how these guys play out their strategy. No one has pitted from the top 4 this time by. We'll see if maybe Swampole or Edwards, position 5 and 6. Do they come to the lane? No, they don't. So these guys continuing on, going for a longer first stint to start off this race.
Sun's almost set, so there's not much room more for the track to cool off. It'll be pretty consistent conditions from here all the way to the end. That's way, way, way deep from Simon Mizomo. He eventually manages to come back to a super late apex, but lost a little bit of time compared to Damon Mulqueen. From front on, these 2 cars look very similar. From the tail on, they look very different as Michael Locke goes to pit lane. It looks like he'll be the only driver this time around to do that. He is on board with 4th.
On board again, Damon Mulqueen still handing the back of Simon Mizomo. Pretty much picture perfect from the last time by. Mulqueen a little bit closer this time by, coming out of turn number 5. Probably not going to get anything done to probably about turn number 9, 10, probably turn 11 actually. Mizomo runs a little bit wide. Will Mulqueen put it down the inside here at the corkscrew? It's going to be a very audacious move if he gets it done. Mizomo's still ahead. Mulqueen backs out of it, thinks more of it, and Mizomo will stay out in front for the
Lead
time
changes.
being.
Tom Wilkinson lets Daniel Yeaman through, and I wonder if this suggests that they're both going to pit this lap as well. And way off the line there as well for Wilkinson. No, neither of them pit. Apparently Tom Wilkinson might have cut the corkscrew and gotten a slowdown. So now Daniel Yeaman leads. Mulqueen heads for the pits. This is it.
So, oh yeah, big cut. But Tom Wilkinson there took a bit too much sand and got that slowdown. So pretty much had to force let Daniel Yeaman by. Apologies, getting all my names mixed up. But we'll have to see where Damon Mulqueen comes out in relative to Cole Ridley and Ewan Baker. But Ridley come around the final corner right now. Mulqueen still in the pit box. I don't think Mulqueen will be too worried about Ridley as long as he's within 5 seconds of him. It's going to be very tight, I reckon, on the exit. Looks like Ridley's going to fly past Mulqueen, but it's going to be very close, I believe, between Baker and Mulqueen as we come into turn 1. The very tight pig exit going into turn number 2. We'll see who comes out on top. Baker will have more speed, but Mulqueen will just stay out in front on slightly colder tyres from coming through the pit lane, but he's going to hang on for now. This will be a fantastic battle to watch for the remainder of the race.
The exit of pit lane gets to shortcut just a tiny bit of the hairpin, and sometimes you think you're in trouble, but then you get a couple of extra free car lengths and you exit just ahead of your rivals. Works out well for Kyle Ridley. Damon Mulqueen slots in between, and we know Ewan Baker's been mighty, mighty quick so far. Still has the fastest lap of the race to his name. Here's Lachlan Capel, Tyson Hanmer, Reese Gardner, another group of drivers who've all stopped. Gardner gets super close to the back of Hanmer.
So a lot going on in this midfield. David Capel, Hanmer and Gardner. Oh, there's Hanmer gone again. He's really struggling with the car tonight, Tyson. We've seen him off quite a few times, maybe just pushing the limit just a little bit too much, trying to stand in front of Reese Gardner. I don't think Reese will be complaining because that's a free spot for him. He can now try and get on the back of Lachlan Capel once again. And Ewan Baker's actually got the move done on Damon Wildqueen, and perfectly timed Racecraft replay on the outside of the corkscrew, side by side through the corkscrew. Oh, and contact on the exit as well.
Again, I think Baker's right up against the white line there, and yeah, it's a bit tight, but the nature of why you need a corkscrew is because corks are very tight.
Yeah, it looks like Damon looked like he was going to back out of it and let Baker through, but it looks like just with the speed that Baker had to wash off on the outside, they end up coming out of the exit side by side, and that's where the little bit of contact was made, but rubbing is race at the end of the day in these touring cars, and back to Capel and Gardner still going at it.
Capel
about
must
5
have
laps later.
Lost a bit of time there. Reese Gardner's all over the back of him now, and this is how. So, heading down towards the hairpin. What is Capel... Is Capel fuel saving because he pitted so early?
It looked very slow on the front straight, so it's either massive fuel saving or he had a slow down penalty. One of the two.
Okay. Well, it'll be on between those two to the end of the race now. Yeah, a little bit of a wobble, a little bit wide now from Lachlan Capel, but Reese Gardner not a quick enough run up the hill to really challenge into the corkscrew, which is a very, very tough place to stick a pass because you go over that crest on the way in. It's sort of pretty tight through the way through, and also not actually that massive of a braking zone because it's at the top of the hill, but it's a slowdown for Capel, and Reese Gardner goes through.
Reese Gardner does eventually get that moved on. These guys have been going at it for the last 4 or 5 laps or so, pushing each other all the way through, and now Gardner has that position. So as we see on the ticket, the top 6 still yet to pit, plus Greg Levine, and looks like Hanmar in the pits once again. I believe he has already pitted, so potentially didn't take enough fuel, or he had picked up damage. Might have been as well. He has gone up on
the very, very first to stop as well.
Yes, he's gone up on the jack, so he might be out of the race because I think he's jumped out of the car actually. So I think Tyson Ema could be done for the night. We are still watching Wilkinson and Mazomo. So Mazomo has made quite a bit of ground on Tom Wilkinson the last couple of laps. Daniel Yeaman has checked out at the moment. These guys still staying out. No one has pitted yet in the top 3. And it looks like Swampool will dive into the pits from position number 4.
So you've still got your top 6 yet to pit at this point, plus Greg Levine, but now Jacques Swanepoel will remove himself from that, approaching the halfway point of this 40-minute race. One more lap and we'll be there. So I wonder how deep into this race Daniel Yeaman, Tom Wilkinson, Simon Mazomo think they want to go when a lot of the field has already stopped. And you got to keep an eye on Ewan Baker's pace. It has been very, very good, if only just a couple thousandths of a second quicker than Yeaman. The traffic gets out of the way of Reese Gardner and Lachlan Capel. Dale Atkins, I think it is. No, Greg Levine, my apologies. I said one of the drivers who hadn't stopped yet. He now will do so. Didn't see him in race 1, did we?
No, we did not see Greg Levine. I'm pretty sure he had technical issues in race number 1, so he didn't do a lap at all. So he's made out for race 2, which is really good. And just checking on Tyson Hema, he has not left his pit box. So I believe he is done for the night. We're still watching the battle for position number 2 at the moment between Wilkinson and Mazomo. Yeaman's put out 5 seconds on Tom Wilkinson. Massive pace showing from the 85. I believe when he pits, I reckon he's going to come out in front. He's got that much pace at the moment. I think he's going to be pretty safe as Mazomo looks like he's going to dive into the pits. So not many cars remaining still yet to pit. It would be Yeaman, Wilkinson, Edwards, and Atkins, I believe, still yet to pit.
That's correct. Here's Gardner and Capel, who have both pitted. Gardner took 15 seconds of fuel. Lachlan Capel took 11.5, which is the shortest stop I've seen so far. Not hurting his progress at the moment. For comparison's sake, Kyle Ridley was 14 seconds of fuel. Ewan Baker was 13 seconds of fuel. So yeah, Capel was early at the window. Potentially just a tiny bit of savings might be required here.
Zomo coming out of the pits. Now, David, we'll see where he comes out. I believe it's going to be in behind Mole Queen. It's going to be very tight between the two. Looks like Mole Queen, I think, is going to have enough speed on the exit of 2 just to get it done. So Mole Queen just ahead of Mazomo. So the top 3 of the guys who have pitted is Ridley, Baker, Mole Queen. But I believe Yeaman, with the pace he's showing, I reckon will come out position number 1. Wilkinson, I think my prediction is Wilkinson's going to come around the spot of Swampool and Gardner. So we'll see if that comes to fruition.
Yeah, one of the things I was keeping my eye on was the gap from the race lead to Ewan Baker, which, as Wilkinson dropped back, was closing, but now it's Daniel Yeaman. It's starting to level off, potentially grow a little bit. Wilkinson heads to the pit lane, so Daniel Yeaman stays out. Don't know yet what Cameron Edwards and Dale Atkins might do. There's a lot happening in the mirrors of Craig Davidson.
So Edwards has stayed out, watching Atkins. He now comes to the lane, so just 2 cars left to pit. It will be Yeaman and Edwards, the only guys remaining left to pit. We'll see where Wilkinson comes out. He's currently still in the pit box, and flying by is Kyle Ridley, is Ewan Baker, Mole Queen and Mazomo as well. So I believe Wilkinson will come out just behind Simon Mazomo on the pit exit, but I think it will be a little bit tight coming out of turn 2. I think Mazomo will have enough speed, like Mole Queen did last time by. As Wilkinson runs a little bit wide there, cost him a few tenths of a second. I think it's going to be a bit tighter than that, but Mazomo does get the job done. Still Capel and Gardner. These guys have not left each other alone all race long, and now they've caught Jack Swampool as well. So this is a battle for effective 8th place. I believe when Cameron Edwards pits, he'll probably drop in behind these guys. Did I say Wilkinson, when he pits, was going to be behind Mazomo, or did I say further back?
I feel like you said around about Swanapool.
I did. So I'm about 7 seconds off. So I'll take that as an L.
Fair enough. I think the delta, including the stop, is around about 30 to 32 seconds. So,
and Cameron Edwards now in the lane, big left front damage on that car as well. So he will try and get a little bit of that repaired in the pit stop, as it's still going on between Swanpool, Gardner, and Capel. This is some fantastic racing in the back half of the top 10. So only 1 car remaining to pit, and it is the race leader Daniel Yeaman, who we're checking the gaps this time by to Ridley. He's got 32 seconds to Kyle Ridley, who, remember, does have that 5-second penalty. He runs wide at turn 1, and Ewan Baker gets the move done on him, but it's side by side between Swanpool and Gardner through turn number 1 into
they're going to pass
hairpin.
Edwards, who's on the pit exit. So for the second time in a row, Gardner tries to throw it deep around the outside. It hasn't really worked. Capel sees both of them run wide. He gives a little bit of a hello.
Rewind again.
Is behind them. Gardner's now got the inside for the right-hander here. They're able to clear Swanapool. Capel doesn't find much grip around the outside there. Looks like Gardner's gotten the both of them now. Cam Edwards be thinking, what on earth's going on here?
And here is Daniel Yeaman, the race leader, the last guy to pit. 15 minutes remaining in this race. He comes in, so once he finishes his stop, we'll keep an eye out on where he is compared to Ewan Baker, who is now past Kyle Ridley for position number 2. While this battle on screen goes on 4-way battle for position number... It's position number... No, 7. 7 through to 10. I was about to say 6, but I would have got that wrong. So, fantastic battle, back half of the top 10. Daniel Yeaman now leaving his pit box. Here comes Ewan Baker around the final corner. I think Yeaman's going to be pretty comfortable on the pit exit. Probably a 2 or 3 second gap, maybe even more. Back to these guys. Yeah, it's going to be pretty sizable lead. So, from the back of the field to a comfortable lead. Mind you, Baker also came from the back of the field to second. So, just showing the pace that those guys have. An important thing to remember as well, remember Ridley has that 5-second penalty. The gap back to Mole Queen at the line was 4.2 seconds, so Mole Queen will be doing all he can to keep that margin under 5 seconds. Could be an effective podium for the 42 car.
everyone has stopped at least once. I think we're just left with Jesse McMenamin, who's going to need a second stop after his early first stop was way too early. This is a replay of how Ewan Baker got past Kyle Ridley. You know, your eyes were on it at the time, Brady, but it doesn't really look like Ridley put up a great amount of fight there. And Baker was approaching him very quickly. Still owner of the fastest lap of the race at the moment, Ewan Baker, 3 seconds behind Daniel Yeaman with 14 minutes to go. Here is that second and final stop from Jesse McMenamin.
They're still going as well between Gardner and Cable for position number 7 on the road. They've checked out just a little bit on Swampole and Cameron Edwards, so it's a two-way battle for position number 7 and two-way battle for position number 9 with 13.5 minutes remaining in this motor race, 40-minute long race, and these guys have been pushing hard from the get-go, and I don't think we've been able to separate Gardner and Capel all race long. There's been some fantastic battling between the two.
Just a tiny bit wide for Capel there. Costs you a little bit of time. Whenever you get your front wheels in the dirt, then you lose your traction off the corners, which is pretty key to these cars, is how you get to the power when you front wheel drive. So a rundown of the battles through the field right now on the way towards the end. Ewan Baker trying to hunt down Daniel Yeaman, still has Kyle Ridley within 1 second behind him. Simon Mazzomo and Tom Wilkinson going to fight it out for 5th. Reece Gardner and Lachlan Capel 7th and 8th. You're looking at it right now. Jacques Swanepoel and Cameron Edwards also have a fight for 9th and 10th.
Also, it looks like David Mulqueen had a slow lap that last time by. He's dropped back to 4.8 seconds behind Kyle Ridley. So he's lost about half a second that last time by the 42. So I think he's pushing a little bit too hard potentially to try and stay within that 5 seconds of Ridley to steal a podium. So we'll have to see how that plays out in the remaining 12 minutes. There's the live gap, 4.9 seconds. So absolutely nothing in it whatsoever. So there'll be one to watch in the remaining last few minutes in this one, but Daniel Yeaman looks pretty comfortable at the moment, but the gap has shrunk a little bit more this lap, down of 2.5 seconds, so Baker seems to have a lot of pace, but will he have enough time to get to the back of Yeaman and then try and perform a move?
Well, Cam Edwards made his pit stop, and when he emerged from the lane, there was a three-way fight in front of him, and it was very, very willing. Gardner and Capel appear to have pulled away, but now he's trying to line up Jacques Swanepoel to get another spot inside of the final couple of laps of this race. Plenty of drivers have been wide out that final corner. It took a long time into this race before Lachlan Capel had a best lap, as he was enjoying the generous paved runoff of Laguna Seca in places, and not enjoying the dirt of the corkscrew by all accounts. That's Capel now to the inside of Reece Gardner, just gets cleared before the right-hander that lets Gardner sweep from the wide line, carry the speed through there, but they were side by side for a bit before that.
They haven't left each other alone all race, David, and still got on behind them between Swampole and Edwards for position number 9. The gap has stabilised out in front between Yeaman and Baker. This lap still remaining at 2.5 seconds, now to 2.6 seconds. And Race Control have confirmed all drivers have cleared their CPS requirements, so it's a race to the end. 10 minutes remaining left in this one, David.
Gardner got a massive amount of curb at the left-hander before the Rahal straight, and then he was barely on the road at the corkscrew. I was expecting a slowdown for him there, but apparently he had just enough for the tyre in the right place. We got Zomo and Wilkinson here, where Wilkinson doesn't seem to have got a great exit, maybe also clearing a slowdown potentially. No, I don't think it's already there. It sends Wilkinson around the outside of Mez. And how about the next battle? Great place to put your camping chair out, I reckon, at the Andretti hairpin.
Yeah, certainly a great viewing spot to see all the action and all the moves getting done.
I had a sore neck going back and forth.
I would too.
I don't watch tennis.
No, definitely not. It's not my type of sport. But anyway, Simon Mazzomo still hanging on to Tom Wilkinson. Fantastic battle for position number 5 on the road. We got two-way battles all the way through. Gardner and Capel still going at it, and Swampel and Edwards still going at it. And then behind them, Dale Atkins about 20-odd seconds behind them. So from position 6 to position number 10, effectively, there's about 9 seconds between them, but 3 battles consisting in that battle pack. So plenty going on in this one, David.
Okay, here's another one. Just flick battle to battle to battle through the field. Right now with Mizomo still holding off Wilkinson at the moment. Reese Gardner, mammoth effort to hold off Lachlan Capel, and Swanepoel still not yet passed by Cameron Edwards. I think that's the one that's the closest at the moment. It's Cam Edwards is really forcing Swanepoel onto a defensive line at the final hairpin. You hope that by doing that, they get a bad exit, you get a good one, and down at the Andretti hairpin, you can think about doing something. It's getting dark around the track as Ewan Baker's now within 2 seconds of the race lead. Kyle Ridley not letting him go too far, and Wilkinson is having yet another look at Simon Mizomo. It's bumper to bumper behind with Gardner and Capel. My oh my, there's just too many good battles here.
I swear I've been saying Gardner and Capel for the last 32 minutes of this race. It's been unbelievable between these two guys, trading places back and forth. Will Capel have a look down the inside tendencies deep under brakes? There's going to be a little bit of contact right front to left front. Capel's going to have the inside run now to turn number 6. They're still going to go side by side. Looks like Gardner backs out of it at the last minute, thinks better of it.
He got a little bit of contact.
He did get a little bit of contact, so looks like Gardner thought better of it, let Capel go, but we'll have to see if that reinvigorates in the remaining 7.5 minutes left in this race. Capel on the mic to race control. Can't hear what that is about, but they will keep pushing on. Capel now to position number 7.
Let's take another look at Tom Wilkinson, who almost went around. He's come in hot here, lost the rear and had to gun the throttle to save the Elantra from looping around. And then, well, this was right behind. Race control have already set the precedent that you have to leave space on the outside if you're level on the way through here. As they turn in, yeah, I think you've got to be further ahead around the outside if you're going to try to stick it around the outside, because I didn't see Capel really deviate from his line other than where Reese Gardner wanted to turn in. There was another car there.
It could just be me, David, but every time I've seen a TCR sliding around tonight, I just cue the Tokyo Drift music in my head. Am I the only one, or do you do something like that as well?
Oh no, it's a given. Anytime there's more than about 15 degrees of tail out and there's smoke in the air, you've got to give it a little bit of a spin.
100% you do. It's still going on between these two guys. Swampel runs a little bit wide on the exit of turn number 6. This might invite Edwards into the battle, who's still spoiling that left front damage, but it doesn't seem to be slowing him down at all. Too wide into the corkscrew. They're still too wide on the exit through turn number 9, the rainy curve. This will allow Edwards to have the inside now for turn number 10. He's going to get the move done. Potentially hasn't cleared him yet, and now he has. Cameron Edwards now to position number 9. The gap out in front, 1.6 seconds now between Yeaman and Baker, so it is closing down just a little bit. It looks like the gap...
Oh no, they're side by side again. Edwards, bad exit off the final corner. All that work, and he hands it right back, and he's going to have to do it again with 4 laps to go.
Done all that work to get the move done, Cameron Edwards. Unfortunately, it comes undone with a bad exit on the last corner. And the gap still between Ridley and Mole Queen, it's just over 5 seconds. So Mole Queen have to do something special in the remaining laps here to close up that few tenths needed. Live gap is dead on 5 seconds. Look at that, perfect timing. Last lap, Mole Queen had about half a tenth on Ridley, so Mulqueen will have to do everything he can to try and close that gap. We've got 4.5 minutes remaining. It'll probably be just under 4.5 minutes remaining when we go across the line, so I'm probably assuming 3 laps to go when we cross the line. And Baker closing in once again on Daniel Yeaman. The gap now just under 1.3 seconds. I will safely assume we've got 3 laps to go, David. It is on for the race lead.
If there was 4 minutes 35 seconds on the clock when Yeaman crossed the start-finish line, it would have been 4 more laps to go, but it's 3 more, I do think, because it was about 4 minutes 20 or so, and we are just over those 90-second laps. So 90 seconds, 3 minutes, 4.5 minutes. 3 to go is the safe bet here, as Baker, he has closed this gap down from around 4 seconds, 3.5 seconds, down to now 1.3, 1.4, and Baker's stop, he took just a tiny bit more fuel than Yeaman, and I wonder if there wasn't just a little bit there where Yeaman was saving in case we were going to get those 4 laps to go. Now he sees it's 3, his pace is right back where you'd expect, in the 1 minute 30s, not the 1 minute 31s.
Yeah, 100%, and Baker is pushing really hard. Just seeing him run on the sand in the background. He's still pushing. The gap has neutralized on this lap, about 1.2 seconds. 2.5 laps remaining. Looks like Mulqueen's actually closing.
Yeaman's got to slow down. Race leader has a slowdown from the corkscrew. He's going to have to give up the time. Baker is all on him with 3 minutes to go. He can't really block, but now he's cleared it, I think. No, it's still there. It's still there. Ewan Baker goes to the lead. No contact between the two of them. Yeaman, he had the lead still. The fuel looked like it was okay. I was going to say Ewan Baker needs to try to close up to that 1 second, keep the pressure on, and that pressure has gotten to Dan Yeaman.
It has. One little mistake for Yeaman. It's going to be very hard now to reel in Ewan Baker, who's had some unbelievable pace in the back half of this race. 2 laps remaining for these drivers. Daniel Yeaman will have to get up on the wheel to try and reel in that gap. It looks like Wilkinson's dropped off or had a mistake the last lap or so, because he's dropped off the back of Mazomo or Lachlan. 2 minute of 32.1 for Wilkinson that last lap, 31.2 for Capel. So he's got some real good pace, Lachlan Capel, in the back half of this one. Importantly, the gap again, 5.1, 5.2 seconds from Ridley to Mulqueen. If you just joined in, Kyle Ridley does have a post-race 5-second penalty, so if he can stay outside that 5 seconds, he will hang on to P3 at the end of this one.
Roles reversed. Now Ewan Baker leading. The pressure on him with 2 laps to go. They've both gained 15 positions in this race after they collided in race number 1. Pass was clean this time around, even if it was because Yeaman had the slowdown penalty using too much of the corkscrew. So we're expecting the white flag when Ewan Baker comes out of the final corner here to signify 1 more lap of Laguna Seca in the last race of the night. Southern Cross ESports Racecraft Elantra Championship, and that's what we're going to get. 1 more tour of Laguna Seca, Ewan Baker's to lose.
It is Ewan Baker's race to lose. The gap 1 second as they cross the line. White flag out, 1 lap to go. The lights are on. The TCR cars, we're approaching 6 p.m. here in sunny California. A little bit of cloud and around today. We just got told as well, Cameron Edwards has a broken shifter. He's stuck in 3rd gear, so that's why he is off the pace, down in position number 10. And it's still Ewan Baker doing all he can. Important gap, Kyle Ridley, Dan Mulqueen. It's still around that 5 seconds. Going to be very, very tight. Right at the end of the race, David, there's going to be nothing in at the line, but Ewan Baker looks pretty safe at the moment in front of Daniel Yeaman.
Pulled out a little bit more over this final lap as well, and yeah, that margin 3rd to 4th has hung in the balance for multiple laps now. We've got ourselves a sort of a time attack championship for who's going to stand on the podium in the 3rd step for what looks like behind Ewan Baker and Daniel Yeaman. A little bit of traffic that will put a bit of doubt into the mind of Ewan Baker as he approaches the final corner. Barney has traded in the white flag for a checkered flag. I don't think Ewan Baker thought he was going to win this race at points, but he keeps the pressure on. He fought hard the whole time. The early stop paid off. He ran in the clean air, and it sends him from 16th on the grid to the race win in race number 2 from Daniel Yeaman and
Mulqueen gets it.
Wow.
Look at that. There's what's that? 1400ths of a second between podium and finishing P4 with that penalty. Mazomo finishes 5th, 22 seconds back from the leader. Capel 6th, Wilkinson 7th, still on screen. Cameron Edwards, remember that broken shifter, is hanged on for P number 10. I don't think he's got any pressure. Dale Atkins about 17 seconds behind the last one by. So, fortunately for Cameron Edwards, I don't think he's really lost support. And he's got his gears back, so potentially just a little bit of a tech issue there for Cameron Edwards. We'll hang on for P number 10, but Ewan Baker and Daniel Yeaman, kudos to those guys, coming from right at the back of the field up to 1 and 2. Yeaman, unfortunately, for him, that one little mistake cost him victory here tonight.
Nothing funny about getting stuck in third gear, only second, so I got no wise quips for that. But what a race we've seen, what racing we've seen. A never say die attitude from Ewan Baker gets him the win, and you can't overlook the opening couple of laps Daniel Yeaman had from 17th on the grid. He was 5th by the end of the second race. He picked exactly the right way to go. He avoided the carnage, and he had such a great launch. Both of them equal 15 positions gained. The tiebreaker's got to go to the race win then, as Ewan Baker most positions gained in that one. Look at the margin. Kyle Ridley crossed the line in third with a 5-second post-race penalty. That takes his time to 9.9 seconds. Damon Mulqueen was just there right at the end. It hung in the balance. Mulqueen scored third. Simon Mazomo, Lachlan Capel, Tom Wilkinson, Reece Gardner, Jacques Swanepoel, Cameron Edwards complete the top 10, and all of them had such exciting racing through the 40-minute race. Number 2. In 11th was Dale Atkinson. In 12th was Tom Yakovlevich. Michael Locke, 13th from Craig Davidson, Greg Levine, Jason McMenamin, Matthew Keane, lap down. Tyson Hanmer, a retirement in that one. Always exciting when we go single make touring car racing. And hopefully some of our podium are going to drop by in 1 second. Race 2 winner then. Ewan Baker will join us. So, what are your thoughts immediately after that?
Oh, just massive weight off my shoulder. I think been chasing the win in this series since round 1. Had the pace, but just not had the luck. So, yeah, it was a bit of a dip in race 1 to be so close again, and then have it taken away in a shower of sparks and body panels and other bits of metal. But yeah, coming back through there and just head down chasing Daniel, who's been the absolute benchmark this season. So to be able to chase him down and grab the win, it's immensely satisfying.
I'm sure they'll open a tab for you and you can have a frothy one down at the U and Baker. But yeah, I mean, wind it back to race 1 then. What do you think happened?
I think it was just a case of a very close side-by-side race, and I was hugging the white line as hard as I could. I think Daniel was one to sort of pinch me down as much as possible, and I think potentially a bit of netcode came into that as well, which is always a hazard. You know, me racing from New Zealand, there's just that little bit of latency that kicks in at times. So, yeah, just very unlucky. You know, I know how Daniel races. I know that was absolutely not malicious or intending to try and push me off the track. It was just an unfortunate coming together, and yeah, very unlucky as well to be collected by the bouncing car coming back across the track. But yeah, it's racing. It is what it is.
Championship stays spicy as Lachlan Capel in race 1 was able to take a bit of points out of both of you, but across the round you take a couple of points out of Daniel Yeaman. We got 1 round to go and it will be winner takes all by the looks of things.
Yeah, all to play for. I mean, honestly, with the first race I was wanting to just bag some points over Lachlan and Damon, but yeah, it didn't quite pan out that way because I think Daniel's a bit far up ahead in the championship, although with that DNF in race 1, maybe that has pulled things closer. But yeah, especially against Lachlan and Damon, I was wanting to get some points, and I think they might have just stretched a bit more over me. So yeah, fingers crossed, see what happens at Sandown. That's always a fun track and, you know, a recipe for a bit of chaos and spice. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens.
And the race 2 strategy, Daniel Yeaman ran long, you pitted early, still managed to find enough clean air to keep that pressure on at the end?
Yeah, I was thinking before the race start, I'll pit as soon as I can, as soon as it opens, and just try and get some clean air and pound in the lap times that I know I can do. But yeah, I got a really good start, and I was running up about 8th or 7th, I think, at one point. And I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll change this on the fly, but a bit of argy-bargy again and drop back the field. So I thought, no, back to plan 8, come into the pits, get the clean air, and yeah, it worked out. It was a tight run thing at the end.
Just a little bit of copy. We are checking. We are looking. Maybe in the middle of that one for you. Congrats on the win in the big race.
Cheers, David.
So Ewan Baker from 16th in race number 1, 16th on the grid for race number 2, takes the win. His main rival across both of the races, Daniel Yeaman, joins us, and over the races across the journey, a similar story for him. 17th in race 1, 17th on the grid for race number 2, and that start in race number 2, you were flying.
I took absolutely no caution to the wind on that one. Forgot tonight, Southern Cross was using the old Scops rule books, so towing meant that was my race done in race 1. And going back out was an instant DSQ 0 points for the opening sprint. Just said, okay, I've got to make up spots for race 2. Thankfully found the gap up the middle into the Andretti hairpin, found the gap on the right-hand side on the exit, and charged on from there, yeah.
And then you ran long, having made all of those passes, found a little bit of clean air. Very nice of your teammate to pick up a slowdown to let you through into the lead. Did you have to copy it once it was Baker behind you?
Just completely. I knew you would have been faster all night tonight. Didn't do enough practice clearly to be ready for this race, and just I guess quite literally, as you said, a carbon copy of what Tom did when I was following him, and then I half cleared it, but then because of the fact that I think it's turn 11, whatever you want to call the next corner after the corkscrew is, comes up so quickly, I took that corner pretty much at racing speed, so just eliminated any chance of clearing the slow and being any closer to you than I was at the end there.
And what about fuel and the lap counts? It looks like race 1 was a couple seconds away from going a lap shorter, and race 2 was a couple seconds away from going a lap longer. You've got to, calculate your fuel drop and take it a little bit before you really know.
Race 1, I think I was expecting 14 laps most of the way. Race 2, I initially plugged in, I think 28, didn't even bother to look at the updated total until we were getting close, so I ended up overfueling slightly. So maybe if I'd been I could have gone risky, but at the same time, I'm defending a championship lead, so realistically, it just needed to bank as many points as possible. I can certainly walk away reasonably happy with P2, knowing there's one more round on the books, and I think I've still got the lead going into that final round as well.
It'll be entertaining however it goes, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Fingers crossed indeed. Now bring it home and finish the job we started back at round 1. Thank you.
So Daniel Yeaman with a 17th and a second, 15 positions gained in race number 2. We have the race winner from race number 1. Kyle, the seas parted, it opened up in front of you, and hey, you took the opportunity.
Firstly, I want to apologise about my mic. It might sound a bit crappy, but yeah, I felt like a true Stephen Bradley moment, that was. Boys were 2.5 seconds up the road, and then they were behind me. All I had to do was keep the pace up and not let Lachlan catch, and grab my first win of the season. Pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, if we want to go calculate round points, I think it definitely goes to you after, Baker and Yeaman's collision then, despite both of them then coming back with the immense pace that they're capable of in this car.
It might go my way. Unfortunately, I did finish P4 that race because I do have a 5-second post penalty, and I missed it by 91,000. So we'll see. Definitely be good shout for it, and we'll see when the results come in.
Well, it gives you a 1st and a 4th against Yeaman's 3rd and a 3rd, Mizomo's 5th and a 5th. I think you're good odds there. Maybe Capel's 2nd and 6th. I think you'd still have him covered. So as far as consistency goes, at the start of the broadcast, we looked at who's top 10 in the championship, and you were still there, and unlikely things just seem to keep happening in these race cars.
Oh, that's it. Everyone's got the same setup, so it's all the driver that makes the difference. And little mistakes here and there will, got to make that move now, or got to do this, or got to do that, and it just leads to sometimes crazy racing. But I feel like it was mostly good. I mean, obviously we had a crash, but no, like I said, I'm happy with tonight. Showed some good pace, did a lot of practice, so that also shows, and just happy to bringing a big bag of points.
Awesome. Congratulations. Well done. And I'm going to give you my totally unofficial Mr. Consistency award.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? I'm always seem to be here talking to you. Despite what happens in the races, I always seem to be here. So it's definitely a good award I'm happy to have.
Well, best of luck as you prepare for the final round of the championship. And hopefully that will be just as exciting, if not more, than what we've seen tonight.
It should be interesting. Thanks, man. I also want to just give a big thanks to all my friends and family who are watching tonight. Thank you.
Beautiful. Talking about that final round, well, we look forward to it, don't we, Brady?
Yeah, 100%. A few weeks' time, March 6th at Sandown, which will be a very interesting circuit in these cars. Obviously, 2 long straightaways and a few corners separating them, so should be a lot of drafting and be interesting for passing opportunities. Obviously, turn 1's going to be a big one as well, and possibly down at the end of Dandenong Road. So I think it's going to be a cracker of a race, and it'll be a great way to finish off the season.
Well, there's all the details. You'll see it here on SimSpeed TV. 6th of March. Not too far away at all. It's a great track for these TCR cars, the Hyundai Elantra. Thanks for joining us on SimSpeed TV for this coverage from Laguna, Seca. We look forward to seeing you at that season finale. And of course, we thank Southern Cross ESports, Racekraft Simulations and Sudspeed. Remember to go to sudspeed.com.au and use the code Elantra for 10% off, including free shipping. And we'll see you when we ship on down to Sandown.